Hello, good afternoon. If you're about to buy a property in Spain, this video could save you a tremendous amount of money due to the difference in inheritance tax depending on where you purchase in Spain. Now, when people buy a property in Spain and they're looking at the three main areas where people tend to retire to, we're talking about mainly the Andalucía with the Costa del Sol. We're talking about the Valencia region with Alicante, Moraira, Denia, Calpe. And we're also talking about the Balearics. These are the three areas of Spain where we handle most of our inheritance cases, even though we do handle them in other places like Madrid and Barcelona. But mainly these three areas concentrate 90% of my work. When people are thinking about buying a property, they're comparing the three regions and basically, you know, what the things they like best, and the three regions offer so much that it's and they're all beautiful that it's difficult to decide on where to buy. But let me give you some food for thought, and it's all to do with inheritance tax. Depending on where you buy, the inheritance tax for your spouse, if you pass away, will be very, very different. Okay, so let me just give you an example so that you realize how different the inheritance tax actually is. So we're going to go through scenarios with different prices. I'm not going to bore you with exactly how I come to the final number, but I'll let you investigate this further, that all these numbers are correct. Okay, so let's say that, for example, you're a money bags couple and you're going to buy a very, very luxurious property, and then we'll move down to see some lower prices, which are going to obviously be more frequent. But I'm going to start off with the big purchase. And I'm not going to bother about small things like bank accounts or anything. I'm just going to talk about the value of the house, okay, which is always going to be the main asset if you buy in Spain. I'm also always going to talk about the situation as non-residents of Spain. If you are residents of Spain, the beneficiary would declare not just what they're receiving in Spain, but what they're receiving worldwide. So the inheritance tax issue actually becomes much more important, even though it is true that they'd also have, there's some other deductions that would be applicable in relation to the main home, which would change the numbers. But I'm going to keep things really, really simple regarding non-residents. So if we have a married couple, Mary and John, they buy a property, they buy a 4 million euro villa. If they buy it in Marbella and they make mirrored wills, leaving everything to each other, and John passes away, the tax that Mary would have to pay to inherit the other half of the property, the half that belonged to John, would be, depending on her pre-existing wealth, if it was more or less than €1 million, her pre-existing wealth, which of course it would always be more because they've purchased a €4 million property together. So obviously her half is worth 2 million, her pre-existing wealth is more than €1 million. So in this case, her tax is going to be, it's approximations, but I'm rounding up the figures and not allowing for certain small exemptions, smaller items that really make no difference. I'm also not adding in the chattel, so it's a fair number. So if they buy that villa for €4 million down in Marbella or somewhere where there are properties as expensive as this, here in Andalucía, the tax that Mary would pay would be in Andalucía just €6,320. Okay. Andalucía has a very, very high level of exemptions. So that's 6,320. Now let's compare it. If that €4 million, instead of it being purchased in Marbella, had been purchased down in the Valencia region, and there are places in that region where we have houses of this sort of value, we're talking about Denia, Moraira, Calpe, and maybe to a small extent in the actual city of Valencia. There are not that many properties of that price, but there are some. If they'd purchased that property, the same 4 million euro, but they purchased it up in the Valencia region, again, putting the property in joint names and making mirrored wills, Mary would have paid on the same inheritance 316,000 euro. It sounds unbelievable, the difference, doesn't it? Well, that's how much the difference is, okay? Now, if the same villa had been purchased in the Balearics, that's Mallorca, Ibiza, and over there are properties of this value. We've had all the probate recently on a property around this figure. If they purchased in Baleares, the inheritance tax that Mary would have paid would have been 141,000 euro. So on this first example, using the 4 million euro villa, we've got a clear winner for inheritance tax, because on the property in Andalucía, 6,320. On the same property in Valencia, 316,000 euro. And on the property in the Balearics, 141,000 euro. Okay, because most of us will not be lucky enough to be able to purchase a property in that price bracket, we're now going to go down to a slightly lower amount, and we're going to keep moving down. Okay, so let's say Mary and John, less money in the pocket to spend, and now they're going to purchase a property of 2 million euro. So we'll start again off with Andalucía. In the property in Andalucía, and let me just quickly go to the map where I've written it all down. 2 million euro in Andalucía. Okay, if Mary's pre-existing wealth was purely that other half of the property, 1 million euro, with that pre-existing wealth, if she was inheriting 1 million euro or less in Andalucía, the inheritance would be completely tax-free, free of inheritance tax. If, on the other hand, she had a pre-existing wealth over 1 million euro, for example, I don't know, she had 1,300,000 because she had the house plus a car plus whatever. In this case, her tax would not be very substantial. It would just be 2,680 euro. So for Mary to inherit half a 2 million euro property in Marbella, the taxes due in Spain would be 2,680 euro. If instead they'd purchased the property up in Denia, Calpe, Moreira, the same property would have cost her 134,000 euro in inheritance tax. The same one in the Baleares would have been 31,000 euro. So again, clear winner, Andalucía. So we're at the 2 million euro property put in joint names and left to each other on the mirrored wills. The tax bill would have been Andalucía 2,680, Valencia region 134,000, and the Balearics 31,000 euro. Baleares is Mallorca, Ibiza, Menorca, you know. Okay, so less and less money they've been spending, and now Mary and John are going to buy a property of 1,400,000 euro. So we're talking about the other inheriting 700,000 euro. So in this case, if Mary had a pre-existing wealth of less than 1 million euro, she'd pay 0 euro in Andalucía. If, on the other hand, she had a pre-existing wealth of more than 700,000, more than 1 million euro, her tax would just be 1,700 euro. The same inheritance in the Valencia region, it would have cost Mary 85,000 euro. And in the Balearics, it would have cost her 7,000 euro. Okay, so again, clear winner, Andalucía, because basically 1,700 euro if she'd inherit it in Andalucía, possibly even 0 if her pre-existing wealth was less than 1 million, 85,000 euro in Valencia, and 7,000 in the Baleares. And we could keep going down the scale of smaller prices. We'll end it here at the property of 1,400,000, but there's still a difference in taxation as we go down the scale. The only really important thing to take away from this video is that not all regions are created equally in Spain when it comes to paying inheritance tax. So when you're choosing on where to purchase, I'm not saying to make the decision purely based on inheritance tax. That would be very sad. but definitely keep it in mind, because it is a reality, and it's basically it's been told to you by somebody that handles inheritance tax all the time, and somebody that's very used to actually making the painful, not that painful because it's not my money, but basically of handing over the money to the tax office on these estates. And I know as a fact that many people are not even aware of these big differences between the regions regarding inheritance tax. And remember, if you're a resident, if the beneficiary is a resident of Spain, then the problem can actually get larger, because the beneficiary would have to declare worldwide assets to the Spanish tax office. Okay, so we're going to wind it up with this. If you are thinking of buying a property in Spain, and you want to discuss wills, inheritance tax, and estate planning, we offer a 1-hour consultation for €181, which we can do over Zoom, and I'm sure you will find is money very well spent, and we can discuss all this in detail. Thank you very much for watching.